Okay, we're sitting right now with Mr. Larry McMurtry and Diana Ossana. Thank you both for being here at PBS.
You're welcome.
It's wonderful to have you. The book is The Last Kind Words Saloon, and it's the latest book from Larry McMurtry. I want to start with a question or with an element that you write in here when you talk about the book. You say, this is prose whose characters are afloat in time. What do you mean when you say afloat in time?
It just means I can move them around at will without any regard to history, afloat in time.
So the books are about Wyatt, Earp, and Doc Holliday. How much of the actual history of those characters did you consider when you were writing the books, and how much did you just run with it on your own?
Well, I just ran with all of it on my own. Along the way, some of it, I snagged, some incidents that may or may not have actually taken place, but I didn't make any effort to be truthful to the career of Wyatt Earp. That wasn't what it was about. Nobody's figured out. I thought by now someone would have figured out who I modeled that book on, but I guess things have sunk so far that nobody remembers Max Beerbohm anymore. Max Beerbohm was a really wonderful Edwardian satirist and film and drama reviewer, and he wrote beautiful fantasies, with a realistic element, but mostly, his most famous is a novel called Zuleika Dobson, which is a collegiate fantasy about a girl who goes to Oxford and sweeps all before her. But Max Beerbohm was someone I've read over and over and over. He's a wonderful writer. I guess he's not even known anymore. Nobody's mentioned it in all the reviews, and that's what I was doing.
And nobody's made the connection yet?
Nope.
Huh, interesting.
That's not good.
Well, you just made the connection for us.
I just made the connection.
Which is great.
It's too bad that the author should be forced to make that connection when reviewers, that's the job of reviewers.
There was a time when you said you were tired of the Western novel, and in fact, I'm not always sure that everyone always understood when you wrote your Westerns that there was sort of an anti-hero element to the Western novel. I think people sort of saw it as these rugged outdoorsman guys. I think a lot of people sort of miss some of that subtlety sometimes. What are your thoughts about how people have perceived your books over the years?
Well, I think I've said this before. I know I've said it before. You can't demystify the West. I thought of Lonesome Dove as a very critical book. It should have been devastating to the traditional imagery of the Old West, but it wasn't. It was taken as a celebration. So I sort of gave up on it after that, and I don't pay any attention to whether it's pro or con Old West. I just write the story I'm interested in writing.
Diana, you write with Larry, and you have for a long time. You guys write screenplays together, books together.
Yes.
How does that process work, and when did you guys decide that you were such a great team?
Well, the process started in 1993. Larry was staying at my house in Tucson. He was recovering from heart surgery. He landed at my door in early 1992. A couple months after his surgery, he had quadruple bypass surgery. And he recovered physically just fine, but he had a kind of emotional trauma and ended up staying at my house for a couple years. He didn't leave at all. And as a result of that, he stopped reading, he stopped writing, and just sat on my couch looking out the window at the mountains. And after a couple of years of this and batting away writing projects and saying, I don't want to do this anymore, I decided it was time for him to get back in the world. It was really depressing. I mean, I thought if he sat there much longer, he would just shrivel up and die. And so he had gotten offers from Steven Spielberg and John McTiernan and some very prominent directors to write scripts, and he just said no. And then he got this request about Pretty Boy Floyd. And I thought, I'm going to jumpstart him somehow. So I went out and did a lot of research about Pretty Boy and came back and sat him down and said, these are all the reasons you need to write this. And he thought this was funny at first. He was amused by it. But about 20 minutes in of me telling him all the reasons, I could see he started to get this look in his eye that he hadn't had for a couple of years. And I got all done, and he said, well, I'll write it if you write it with me. And I said, well, we have to, convince Warner Brothers. So we did. We convinced them, wrote the script. But we had so much information left in our imaginations that as soon as we were done with the script, we launched into the novel. And Larry writes on a manual typewriter, always has and always will.
Looks like
I've tried to convert him, but it's not ever going to happen.
It's not working.
Because it would be easier for me if he would, because I write on a computer. And at that point in time, he would he does 5 pages a day, no more, no less. He'll stop in the middle of a sentence, and then he waits till the next day. I take his pages, or I used to, and I would enter them into my computer and change them, delete them, add to them, whatever, print them out. He'd get them, and then he'd start again the next day. That, for Pretty Boy, it took us 4 months to have a first draft, and that was writing every single day. The process is altered over time, of course. Now we sort of write just in tandem, you know. We argue a lot, but it seems to produce good work, and it's fun. So.
It does produce good work. And you know, after your heart attack, we've heard the story of what happened, but how has it affected your writing and in fact just the way you approach the life you live every day? I mean, once you come out of a depression like that and you're able to re-embrace, but that health element is there, how did your heart attack affect you when you were finished?
Well, you have to read a couple of books that probably help. I have a book called Walter Benjamin at the Dairy Queen, which is a post-trauma book, and I've gone into it. It's very complicated. You know, surgery, even minor surgery, is transformative. You think you just go in and get an appendix cut out or something like that. But in fact, when the personality is shattered like that, it may never come together again, really. And I'm not at all sure mine is, I've been able to function, I've been able to work in movies and write books and stuff like that. But I'm still not the person I was before that operation.
Larry's about 80% the person he was.
Maybe something like that, maybe something.
After 2 heart attacks?
3 heart attacks.
3 heart attacks.
Total.
3 heart attacks, 2 of them are serious. It's very, very hard to get over. Your personality, when you go under the knife, however many years, the personality, you have to struggle really hard. And writing with Diana has helped.
Has been something that you've not given up. It's something you still love to do. 5 pages a day max at the end of a sentence, doesn't matter where it is, but still every day.
Yeah, I still believe that. And scripts which are not, we can do it for a while, breaking a script to try to figure out what to do with the unit. 5 pages a day, but a book like Walter Benjamin at the Dairy, it's a very good book.
So do you think up every day and putting those 5 pages in?
I mean, we'll be gone.
You both can, books are embraced, get it.
Pretty good.
And we're thrilled to have you here in Miami on PBS talking about your newest book. And Diana,
thanks
Larry,
for